What if the rumor you laughed off at lunch is the one that flips the West on its head tonight right now, in front of millions? What if the missing piece isn't a blockbuster star, but a no-nonsense connector who turns chaos into rhythm and good looks into great shots? What if the name you didn't expect to trend in the Bay is the exact archetype that keeps the dynasty breathing, evolving, refusing to fade into a sepia photograph? What if the next Warriors run doesn't start with fireworks, but with a quiet handshake and a wing who just knows how to win possessions? I'm talking about a player who moves like a metronome and hits like a cymbal at the perfect moment. A wing who doesn't audition for the spotlight because he already understands the score. I'm talking about a defender who lives in the space between your first dribble and your second thought, who body shades a drive at the last possible step and turns your go-to move into a bailout pass. I'm talking about a cutter who smells the back door like a chef smells basil. A short roll passer who hears the paint like musicians hear key changes. A corner shooter who doesn't blink at 1,000 decibels of chase center noise because he treats every corner three like a free throw. And I'm talking about fit pure basketball fit with Steph's gravity, with Draymond's telepathy, with Wiggins' size, Kuminga's burn, Moody's balance, Podziemski's nerve. I'm talking about a piece that lets the whole machine. Again, watch the tape and it jumps out. He runs wide to stretch the floor before the defense can count to three, then knifes to the dunker spot the second the weak side tagger turns his head. Watch the tape, and it's obvious. He flips from chaser to switch anchor without a dramatic arm wave. He tags the roller and still closes the window on the skip pass. He rebounds like a guard who never waits for the big to show up, and he sprints to the next job, because that's the job. It's role literacy, the thing that made the Warriors' offense feel like spoken word in motion poetry, that never forgets the math dot. You can already imagine him next to Steph in Spain pick and roll. The weak side corner occupied, the nailed defender frozen, the chain of decisions collapsing in our favor because the release valve is a grown-up. You can already see him ghosting the screen for Draymond, drawing 2 glances too many, cracking the shell with a one-touch bounce to a back-cutting Kuminga. You can already hear the broadcast voice. Simple play, but high-level stuff. While the scoreboard slides 3 points to the left, and the building inhales like we all just remembered how this is supposed to feel. The Warriors have always lived in that intersection between art and inevitability. The art is Steph throwing a look-off laser through a keyhole. The inevitability is the wing who made the cut at exactly the right time so the pass even existed. The art is Draymond manipulating space with a screen that barely qualifies as contact. The inevitability is the teammate who rescreens, slips, or fills with the IQ of someone who understands that spacing isn't lines on a whiteboard, it's oxygen. When the role players are fluid, the stars speak in paragraphs and the defense starts reading slow. And the guy I'm talking about, this archetype, this moment reads fast. Does the name matter to you yet? Or are you already nodding because the role itself is the headline? Fine. Let's talk name. Cody Martin. Yes, that Cody Martin. The one who won't headline your fantasy team but will headline the film session the next morning because every clip of him has a teacher's note attached. Correct angle, correct pace, correct outcome. You've seen him erase possessions with feet, hands, and timing. You've seen him cut without demanding a medal. You've seen him survive on both ends without a script. And you've seen him import winning habits that don't need a billboard. And you've seen exactly how that translates to Golden State basketball. Because what this team needs right now is not a pyrotechnic. It's a hinge. I can feel it from here, like a low drum in the floorboards. The front office leaning into cohesion over celebrity. The coaching staff craving a wing who keeps the weak side honest and the defensive shell airtight. The locker room wanting a teammate who doesn't demand touches to impact the box score. The fans wanting a player who brings the old feeling back knot. The banner celebration. The possession-by-possession certainty that our 5 on the floor are smarter and meaner about the tiny things. That's Cody Martin's interview. And the answers are on film. Picture a random Tuesday in January. Legs heavy, whistle swallowed. Steph draws two. Dre short rolls into a wall. The play stalls. Old Warriors teams never panicked there because the third action was already loaded. Corner shake to 45, slip behind the top lock, pocket pass at the last second, touch finish. That third action lives on the backs of wings who don't blink. Martin doesn't blink. He doesn't require a new play to matter. He requires a defense to be lazy for half a second, and then he cashes a check with the most boring highlight. You'll cheer all week. What about defense on ball? Martin's feet are patient but not passive. He absorbs the first move without yielding the lane line, then uses a compact contest to mess with the release. What about defense off ball? He sits on the tag without daring the lob, then bounces to the shooter without losing the rebounding angle. What about the switch? He doesn't peacock. He just does it. Keeps the midline posture. Points once with his chin so everyone knows where the next stun is coming from, then plays the next beat. That's Golden State defense when it's right. 5 guys hearing the same song and counting. The same tempo. Now breathe and think about rotation combinations. Steph, Podziemski, Martin, Wiggins. Draymond is a defensive nightmare for opponents who want to hunt guards and a playmaking. Nightmare for teams that want to load up one side. Swap in Moody for Pods, and you've got more length and vertical contests. Swap in Kuminga for Wiggins, and you've got more downhill pressure. Martin is the common denominator, the guy who keeps the algebra balanced while the variables change. He's the human phrase. We can play any style and remain ourselves. Crunch time? It's simple and it's sacred. You trust the player who raises the floor. Last 5 minutes, 2-point game, both teams sick of each other. The best thing a role player can be is inevitable. Box out, outlet, cut, catch, finish. Tag, recover, contest, rebound. Martin feels inevitable because he seems to lose interest in being noticed and an intense interest in ending your possession. Exactly 1 beat before you're ready to give it up. There's a cultural piece too. The Warriors are a monastery of spacing and timing, of pass and move catechism, of Don single quotes T dash pause dash when dash you dash should dash flow. Players who buy and find themselves playing the best basketball of their lives, not because their usage explodes, but because their purpose does. Martin's purpose is tailor-made for this. Stand in the gaps on defense, stand in the gaps on offense, be the bridge no one sees until they're walking on it. If you felt like last season demanded too many hero shots from non-heroes, this is how you fix it. You add a player who prefers the right shot to his shot. And here's where the pulse quickens. Because somewhere between the noise and the nuance, it starts to feel like concrete. The phrasing changes when you talk to people who have watched the calls, tracked the flights, read the tea leaves. The talk shifts from what if to when. The posture shifts from it would make sense to this is exactly what they're targeting. The excitement isn't a scream. It's a knowing smile. The kind you see on Steph when he gives the ball up only to get it back 2 passes later. Feet set, world ready. That smile says we're cooking. Think about what it does for Wiggins, who thrives when the game is downhill and simple. Think about what it does for Kuminga, who needs a wing partner willing to set a flare one possession and sprint the lane the next. Think about what it does for Moody, who reads the floor like a veteran, but sometimes ends up guarding 3 people at once. Think about what it does for Draymond, who would much rather pass to a cutter than debate a stagnant shooter. Think about what it does for Steph, who deserves one more season where space is measured in meters, not inches. A connector wing widens the court. A connector wing lets Steph breathe. The tempo piece is huge. Golden State is at its best when the ball moves faster than the thought that tries to stop it. A connector turns 2 on the ball into 3 on 2 without rushing. Turns a broken play into a corner 3 without apology. Turns a scramble into a layup because he ran when the defense stood still to check the scoreboard. You'll watch the clip 1,000 times. Draymond grabs, 2 dribbles, hit ahead, dunk. Martin is a hit ahead wing. He won't wait for your permission to run. Let's talk toughness without bravado. The Warriors have never been a fake tough team. They've been a functional tough team. Tough is absorbing the screen without losing your base. Tough is digging at the nail without giving up the corner. Tough is taking a charge that flips momentum without turning the necks. Possession into a vendetta. Martin's film is littered with functional tough. That kind of tough wins in April and May when the refs pocket the whistle and the game turns into a contest of habits. Zoom in on small stretches, 8 minutes in the second quarter, 9 in the third. That's where benches win you games you. Pretend the Stars won. A Martin-led second unit doesn't ask your star to rescue 2 bad minutes. It steals 2 good minutes while the other team calls up a timeout. It forces the opponent to overplay their hand. It saves mileage you spend. Later. By now, the drumbeat is too loud to ignore. The word isn't splashy, but it's sticky. Around the league, you hear the same phrase repeat. That's a Warriors move. Not loud. Not cute. Just right. Not a bet on a fantasy breakout. A bet on a basketball truth. Put a smart connector next to a generational engine, and the engine roars more often with less strain. All of a sudden, the math of the roster makes sense in 4-guard looks and jumbo, wings looks, and the kind of one big lineups that gave shooters runways and cutters green lights. You can feel the coaching staff already drawing arrows that end in dunks. And man, try not to grin at the idea of Chase Center waking up to it. The first time Martin goes to screen and lays one in, you'll hear that confused cheer, "Are we allowed to love the boring stuff this much?" Yes, this is the good stuff. The cut that punishes your slouch. The help that arrives on the half step. The pass that keeps a star from having to do something insane. The standing ovation belongs to everyone. But the bridge is his, and the bridge holds. If you've been around this game long enough, you know the difference between hope and structure. Hope squints at a highlight and projects the future. Structure watches 10 possessions in a row and notes the repeatable, coachable, bankable patterns. What makes this feel inevitable is structure. The Warriors don't need a coin flip. They need a certainty machine. Martin is a certainty machine, the sort of player who gives you 20 quiet winning minutes, so your loud players can be loud in the right 10. Here's where we all nod and pretend to be calm, but we're not. You can feel the announcement sneaking up from the corner of the screen, can't you? The tone of the whispers, the way the fan art started looking less like fan art and more like, oh, that actually looks normal, the way group chat stopped. Arguing about upside comps and started arguing about jersey numbers. This is how it happens with the right fits. At first it sounds too modest to matter, and then it sounds too obvious to ignore. So lean into the feeling, because it's a good one. The Warriors at their purest were never about collecting famous names. They were about collecting seamless plays. They were about 1,000 possessions where somebody did the exact right thing at the exact right time so that the best shooter ever and the most gifted defensive organizer alive could do their exact best things. If you want that feeling back, you build the scaffolding. And you don't apologize for loving the scaffolding. Cody Martin fits the scaffolding. He fits the tempo. He fits the soul. He fits the idea that basketball is a series of advantages created and protected by 5 people committed to the same conversation. He fits the notion that nothing fancy survives without something simple done perfectly 5 times in a row. He fits a locker room that prides itself on IQ, humility, and a sense of humor about the dirty work. And he fits a fan base that will happily roar for a hockey assist if it ends with the net snapping. If it sounds like I'm talking like it's already real, it's because sometimes the game tells you the truth before the press release does. Sometimes the fit is so clean that refusing to believe it feels sillier than daring to believe it. Sometimes you can hear the echo of the first "Welcome to the Bay," even when the official words haven't hit the timeline. That's where we are. It feels like a done thing because it feels like the right thing. And the right thing has a way of happening here. Play out the season in your head for a second. Training camp drills get sharper because the spacing is honest. Preseason sets look like sets, not suggestions. Opening week rotations find a rhythm by Game 3, not Game 12. Steph's minutes are a little less frantic. Draymond's reads are a little less crowded. Wiggins' attacks are a little more downhill. Kuminga's patience grows because the ball keeps finding him at the right time. Podziemski keeps being fearless because the adults keep reinforcing the right habits, one cut, one pass, one screen at a time. Martin's stat line reads 9 points, 4 boards, 3 assists, and the plus-minus reads +10, and you don't need a lecture to know why. Even the small narrative stuff lines up. The Bay loves under-celebrated craft. We throw parades for artists who make the difficult feel inevitable. We don't need chest thumping. We need chest beating on defense and eye contact on offense. We need the kind of competence that ages well in April. We need reassurance that this is still a place where basketball is played with a level of literacy that scares you if you try to fake it. Martin writes in full sentences. That matters here. And as you ride that wave, you can feel the crescendo building. Let me say this with love and with honesty, because that's how we roll on this channel. Take the feeling. Enjoy the pictures in your head. Hold on to the idea that makes basketball sense and Warrior sense. But keep one eye on the final frame of the video, because this is, after all, a rumor show, a thought experiment with receipts, a film room fantasy that learned to walk. We are not holding an official statement. We are not reading a signed contract. We stretch the suspense on purpose because the fit is so good. It tastes like truth, but the truth is this. Everything you just heard is a carefully built speculation, a what-if dressed in logic and love for the game. A rumor room run designed to show how perfectly Cody Martin would slot into Golden State's ecosystem if it were to happen. No banner has been raised today. No transaction has been filed in stone. But if the day comes and you know why it should, you'll already understand exactly why the Bay will feel like it got a little smarter, a little tougher, and a lot more inevitable.